Hey, how's it going, guys? Domino Paris 21 here, and back with another discussion or talk video for you guys. So, what I want to go ahead and discuss with you all is my own personal thoughts on what I think about, well, bandwagoning and Vanguard. Now, I mean, come on, this is an ongoing trend that we usually see. We pretty much see with, prior to the release of some new hype sets that are about to be released. For example, the Cross, for Kagero, where, certain clans get, like X clan gets intense amount of support to make it like top tier competitive, and all of a sudden these mass amount of new players are just being drawn to that clan. Same thing goes with like brand new clans being introduced, hence Gear Chronicle, or some new awesome boss monster, popping up, cough cough Kagero, the Cross. So, of course, like I said, it's gonna draw in a mass amount of new players, to that certain deck, and that's of course what draws the negativity from a portion of the community out there, which they like to label bandwagon. Like, here come the Cross bandwagoners, here come Gear Chronicle bandwagoners, and of course, you see a lot of hype around these decks, and you see a lot of price jumps sometimes. I mean, come on, guys, like the end and burnouts, like $20 each, $40 each. Well, glad I got my playsets, so I have these already stowed away, waiting for the Cross. But yeah, anyways, now back to what I was talking about. So the real question is, is this really a bad thing? And I know, like I said, a portion of the community out there kind of looks at it in a bad way, but here's a few things I have to say about that. One, like, what is so bad about hype? I understand that people like to, exercise the word hype a lot, especially among like Facebook posts when people are looking for, certain cards or certain, hype decks, and people and there's always be that one guy that posts, saying, oh, here comes this guy riding on the hype train or bandwagon and whatever. And, honestly, I don't understand why people see it see in such a negative way. I think hype is good, and I think hype is what helps to drive card games, especially when it comes to the business aspect of it, because if there's nothing to be excited about, nothing to be hyped up about, then cards won't sell, and there's not much excitement to look forward to, when a set drops or when a new trial deck for a new clan, comes out. So, honestly, I don't know why people like to perceive hype as a negative thing. And also, too, a trend that always happens with hype is, obviously, certain deck gets a lot of hype, then it finally comes out, you have, of course, a lot of players looking for it, but then all of a sudden, you have also a lot of those players still, dropping the clan and moving on, while, you do have a few that do stay behind and, become, I guess you could say, loyalists to the clan. So, while hype, I guess, can perceive as negative by some people, hype dies down and moves on to another deck, anyway. So, honestly, like I said, hype is always good to help drive excitement in the game. If there wasn't hype, honestly, among anything, then, Vanguard would have probably died a few years ago. If Kagero never got all these cool new boss cards for everyone to either play or everyone to look forward to beating, then, well, honestly, Vanguard won't have as much excitement. So, that's honestly my take when it comes to hype and such. Now, another aspect when it comes to bandwagons is you do have the clan loyalists. Basically, those who've been playing a certain clan that may not have received as much attention before or as much support before. Let's take, for example, Aquaforce or Great Nature. But then now that they receive support, and they're getting a lot more attention, and is drawing a mass of new players to it, hence, this creating a bandwagon, I guess. And, those longtime Aquaforce players, being the loyalists that they are to their clan, I guess they feel threatened or something like that, or sometimes they will just probably be annoyed that all of a sudden now that they're getting some cool support, people want to play them, and and this is really where it really these players get these kind of attitude that I really don't understand, and it creates, I guess, this elitism with these longtime players. Well, not all of them, but some of them, where they start bashing on people that starts to play their clan. Why are you playing Aquaforce? I've been playing them since Naval Gazer Trial deck. Well, you have no right to play this deck. Or, like, what makes you want to play Aquaforce now? Things like that. They always want to bash other players for it and say such negative things. And my question is, why? What is the big deal? And, what is it that, you feel so elitist about that you feel like you own the clan all of a sudden. Now, like, I'm just gonna say this, you know, honestly, just because you've been playing a certain deck or certain clan for a long time, maybe even literally the longest time out of everyone, honestly, it does not give you the right to bash other players for wanting to play your clan. In fact, I feel like it should be the opposite. At least for me, at least, because, you know, I do play a lot of decks that bring a lot of hype around, that do draw a lot of players in, and in fact, I like to welcome those players. I like to welcome those players to, I guess, the world of the deck I play, you know? Like, welcome to Kagura World, or welcome to, I don't know, what decks I play, Paladin World, or whatever. Because it just gives more opportunities for you know, for yourself to share more ideas with some other new players. And hey, you know, the fact is there are a lot of new players out there, a lot of new minds, you know, to your clan. Maybe, perhaps someone may have a certain particular take on your deck that maybe you haven't thought of, and this is another idea that you can share. Or maybe you can, you know, I think I always get this sense of reward if I'm able to help someone get into my clan and, you know, see them get better and progress, you know, as I see them improve at my locals. So, you know, I like to encourage people, you know, to, you know, play the decks I play sometimes, just because, like I said, I feel like that's what makes the game more fun for myself. And also, at the same time, I mean, I understand that, you know, a lot of players kind of create this, I guess, sentimental value towards the decks they play, and, you know, I understand the feeling of you're playing a certain deck and you have certain players out there that just bash you for playing that deck, like, oh, why are you playing this deck? This deck sucks, it's bad. But then all of a sudden they want to play it. It's like, oh, now you think it's good. So I understand, like, there are some bad apples out there, which, you know, I can understand, but in general, like, if you are, I guess, the seasoned veteran of a certain clan and certain deck, then by all means, show all the new players how it's done. Show them, share with them the experience that you have with your clan and, you know, what makes them good. And pretty much, I guess, you're the pioneer of that certain deck. So, like I said, show all these new players, you know, how everything is done. And, you know, and by all means, if every single person in your locals is playing your deck, then be the best person playing that deck. That's really the challenge of it. And like I said earlier, hype kind of dies down after a while because, you know, a lot of people will probably swarm to the deck, but then, you know, when the new set comes out, which comes out like every 2 months anyway, most of those people will probably, you know, sell off all their decks and then move on to the next hype, while you do have a few people that stay behind and become loyalists to, and I guess become new loyalists to the clan. And like I said, guys, that's really all it is to it. So like I said, as always, just continue having fun, you know, with the game. You know, no one should have to worry about wanting to pick a deck that they feel that they actually like, that maybe happens to be part of that hype or bandwagon. And, you know, I don't think anyone should be bashed about, you know, playing any deck at all, because in the end, we're all here having fun and enjoying what we love doing, which is, you know, playing card games. So, as always, guys, feel free to leave a comment down below, sharing with me your personal thoughts on the subject and such. And definitely leave a thumbs up in the video. That's always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe if you hadn't. As always, guys, until next time, I'll see you guys later.